Ahari means ahar, decoration. It can be set designs, it can be location, but in traditional theatre, it is basically the body which is decorated with all kinds of ornaments, costumes, headgears, makeup, etc., which is the craft part. Therefore, this actor, what I said in the beginning also, has to have the skills of everything. He has to have has to be a dancer, he has to be a musician, he has to be a craftsman, and he has to be an actor. That is, now you have Angik, Vachik, and you have Ahari. Now, the fourth, which is the most important and the most subtle and most challenging, is the Sattvic, which is the world of abstraction. When all these three, Angik, Vachik, and Ahari, get together, if they get together in a brilliant harmony, they create some emotion. That emotion is abstract. It's like what you may call it, it is like fragrance of a rose, which you can't see, which you can't concretize, but it is the soul of that actor where he puts all these three areas together and gives you the emotion. Either you cry, either you laugh, and it happens, you are here, actor is here, audience is there, something happens in this air space, abstract space, which creates that emotion and creates an impact. Now, you will see this happening in all the performing forms of India. About Ladakh, I will be showing you a clipping of the film where you will see it in person how they do it. Now, I come to the other form in traditional theatre, which is in Kashmir called the Bhand Pathar. Bhand Pathar again is a village form. Again, it will, you will, if you start digging at it and knocking at its right and left and looking at it, you will see, oh, this is what you call linking with the Natya Shastra. There are elements in it which link it, which means that if these theatre forms have linkages with the Natya Shastra, therefore, there were some directors, some ustads, some gurus who could, on one side, do the work that is happening in the closed theatre, that is happening in the Sanskrit drama theatres, inside where Brahmins and Kshatris will watch it, the ruling class will watch it. But for common people also, for the ordinary man, he will also be able to use those elements, but in his own way, in his own style, and in his own interpretation. Now, that is very interesting part of this all Indian folk theatres, I will say. Now, when I come to Bhand Pathar, this is a form which is completely a satire form. It's a very comic form. They use masks, they use dance, music, and where do they perform? They can perform in a space like village under a chinar tree. They can perform at the foothill of a landscape, and you will see mostly they have little bit of again a religious connection is always there. They are all in Kashmir, they are all Muslims. And what do? The bigger thing is when they perform these plays at the Sufi shrines, not at the masjids, but the Sufi shrines on their annual day of the saint, whoever it is. And millions of people watch it. It's amazing to see the sight, how many people watch it there. But what is this form all about? This is a form which is not talking about the mythology, which is not talking about the religious, but they subtly turn this form little bit on a diagonal and look at the critically look at the issues. Like they will look at the ruler or a king in such a way, whether he is oppressing people, whether it is foreign ruler, whether it is some kind of a religious person who is not a really great arrived religious person, and then juxtapose it with a person who is very religious, who is very evolved person, not in terms of rituals, but in terms of the philosophical content. Because Kashmir has, by its very tradition, lot of these Sufi shrines in every village. It's amazing. You have a masjid, you have a mandir, you have a Sufi shrine. It's like you people go to religious places, and this Sufi shrine lends itself and its space to anything you want to do. It's open, relaxed space where people come, they eat, they sing, and theatre people, these Bhand Pathar people will come there and perform. which we can broadly say that this is a secular space. By secularism, secular space, I mean here what happens, they lampoon. The best part of this theatre is that it uses gestures, maskaras what we call, and they not one, but it can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 6, against a ruler, against somebody who holds something bigger than that, and they dissect it by inch, sequence after sequence, to tell you the hypocrisies of the things. Therefore, it goes both ways. It's not, they have no reverence for anybody. They can improvise a thing. Another thing which is very important in this improvisation, what I said, is that in Indian aesthetics, whether it is music, whether it's painting, it is drama. It is not like Western drama, that there is a linear round, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there will be beginning, there will be crisis, there will be climax 1 and climax 2 and the catharsis. That is typical Western idea of theatre or aesthetics. Here you will see we go on a one plane like this, but we can suddenly drop one sequence here and create a different sequence there, these improvisations which can happen right at that time. That is the great example of improvisation. You see that actors, while the story is going, they will stop a story and go into some tangent somewhere else, and which will be related to the people there and then. It can be a problem which must have happened 2 days back with the people. It's like a newspaper creating a new scene there. But that is where the actors are so skilled, so intelligent, so confident they can carry it forward. They don't. You must have seen a musician in Western style of music. He has a paper in front of him. He has a score in front of him. He is looking at the score and playing. You will not see it in Indian, neither in music, neither in drama, anywhere. They look at the text. Text is there, but that is like a takeoff. From this we will take off, and space is sky, and we can meander our way, we can make our way anyway. We can, and then bring it together back again. That is the greatest of the Indian theatre. Now, this will happen in Bhandpathar. You come down to Punjab, they have Nakal, again a satire form, again a form which does not leave any character who and his hypocrisies in the society. Therefore, they are critics of the society. They are what you say, like you teachers, you will say that you don't just give a lecture, you critique a lecture. And when you critique a lecture from the main lecture, you go sideways somewhere else, and to explain this thing, you do some little talk about that, and then come back to the main subject of your talk. Similarly, Nakal will do that, and it will have, again, space is open space in the village anywhere. Now, if you come down, you have Nautanki in Uttar Pradesh, you have Khayal in Rajasthan, you have Bhavai in Gujarat, then you have Jatra in Bengal, you have Bidesha in Bihar, and which says, and each one of these forms are different to look at the way they perform. But what does that mean? Which means that each regional center of India, not center, sorry, each state has its own cultural zone, or you can call it a cultural school, cultural drama schools, music school, which have a different way of employing the technique of performance. Similarly, but what is in common in all of them is this, that you have Panchvadam, they will be using of the region. Now, if you go to Kairali, that is in Himachal Pradesh, it's again a folk form which is in the open air, which uses choreography in a different way. Similarly, you go down to this place, what's called Andhra. There are 3-4 forms like that. But what is very important to look at it, for a teacher to look at it, is didactic element or an element of message. What they talk, when they critique, when they criticize, when they talk about hypocrisies, what do? They also do that, what is called the linkages between the authority and the common man. They become like a medium. like a mass media what we have today, which talks, they carry a message from the top to down and from down to top. That kind of a relevance it has. But what has happened over the years, because of the negligence and lack of patronage to these forms, what has happened is they have started melting away. They have started getting into the peripheries, getting into the peripheries and discarded, for example. Many places people discard it, they think it's vulgar. It is a lot of those elements have gone into it, which has taken its vitality also away. Therefore, what has Indian theatre done? Lot of us who are doing theatre today, what we have been doing is that we have been going back to these forms, looking back at them, studying them, interacting with the performers, and trying to create a new Indian theatre which has its roots from the tradition. Now, the tradition, we may say, is not just going to village, picking them up. What is very important is that, as I said, tradition is not stagnant. Tradition never remains, like a water in a well which never changes. Tradition keeps reinventing itself. Tradition starts putting on new elements which he sees are around and putting it. It is that tradition will only survive which has continuously been reinforcing and reinventing itself. It's like a river which has many streams at every point coming into it to fill the river and create a great big river. If you look at Ganga, it's not from Mansarovar only. There are many tributaries from the Himalayas coming down right up to Bengal till it becomes a mighty river. Tradition is that. Please don't ever think that tradition or believe that tradition is what it was 5,000 years back, when a lot of people will tell you tradition of 5,000 years is great, it is still the same thing. No, 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 no. It is not the same. It has changed, it has kept on changing and becoming more relevant and relevant. But what has happened in between? The kind of knowledge that was in the beginning of these forms, kind of patronage there was, kind of support it had, has gradually started melting away. Therefore, these performers in these open air performances, which are folk performers, traditional performers, you call them anything but village performers or the Dalit performers, you call them, today most of them are not educated enough. Their gurus are not now that great there. Another, the lack of poverty, the economic onslaught makes them to withdraw into kind of a place. What we see is very little left with them. Lot of it has withered away with time. In my own experience, I'll tell you, I have worked with folk performers in various states, and I have really found that it takes time really to understand what it was, what it must have been. That is the challenge for theatre today, to reinvent like an anthropologist will do, like an archaeologist is going to dig it out and then start pulling these broken pieces together to create that long narrative which is the form. We cannot, in the today's modernity that we are in, we think we are becoming global, we are doing all kinds of new things. It needs to be discarded. It has no place. That is the biggest mistake and the disaster we will bring upon ourselves. We can build our future from our past, with the pillars of our past, because in those pillars are our faiths, our beliefs, our philosophies, and our cultural moorings. Therefore, one cannot discard it. The person who is discarding is making a fool of himself. Like, you can't, because it will come like a wave back. Suddenly, as you see a wave coming back again, you will not realize you have got it. It is not that I am telling you, you will see it in great artists all over the world, whether it is Picasso, whether it is theatre people, either Kumar Gandharva in India, a great musician. You will see him doing something, going to Malwa region in Madhya Pradesh, going to villages, listening to the village songs, which are small, little songs, and put them together. Then, like a good scientist musician, decode them He decodes them and says, ah, this is rag, two ragas. It is Piru and with them is another rag there. And then makes his new composition with that, what we call Kumarji great. But it is Kumarji's greatness is not only he sings them, Kumarji's greatness is in linking it to that landscape of Malwa, linking it to the villages, linking it to the temples, the Nathpanthis, Gorakhnathis, and Gorakhnath is the old tradition. Now, from there creating the modern music for you and me. Similarly, in education, when you do education, you can use this theatre, but you can't use it like a blind man, a blind teacher. Oh, I put two songs together, so kar do kuch, and it cook up something and it will be theatre. No. Unless until you know the foundations of it, unless until you know the moorings of it, in your own regions. Therefore, an exercise which I would like to do, you understand traditional theatre, in your own regions, go around to these teachers, dig out what is there, talk to them what is there, create a data, and from data see why they used to do from village to village they used to go and perform. Why are these songs this way? How can I as a catalyst motivate and make something else for my future, that's my own students, which they will enjoy because it is with them, it's there in their village also. But they will say new dynamics is being created there because it has its linkages in his grandmother's house memory, it has links with grandfather's memory, village memory, landscape memory, and he will relate to that. And therefore, what traditional theatre can do, it is not only going to for entertainment, that I come in the evening and do a story and perform it. Today, challenge is to empower folk theatre or traditional Indian theatre, you have to be like a scientific tempered person who will use it for the development of human mind today. Theatre is not only limited to evening entertainment anymore. Try to understand that. Theatre is today used in schools, it's used in hospitals.